South African ladies rank 7th on a global scale of the most stressed women in the world. And who can blame them? You have to be a tough cookie to thrive in South Africa, where crime, politics and economic factors have us all at the end of our tether. Not to mention having to deal with men. That's the worst. Up to 64% of our nation's women say that they feel stressed every single day. This stress epidemic definitely needs some TLC before our women become more fatigued and reach the point of burnout.
Women juggle many roles as a partner, mother, caregiver and worker. Eventually, this could lead to burnout. This can be defined as the extension of motivation or just complete mental and emotional exhaustion. Symptoms include a lack of energy, a change in emotions ranging from moodiness to irritability, decreased immunity and an increasingly pessimistic outlook. It's difficult to diagnose but can be treated. Magazines like Women's Health often provide practical tips and solutions for lowering work stress and managing time. Kate Wilson, the editor of Women's Health, sits at the helm of a publication which is devoted to improving the health and well-being of women.
Sharing the burden is one solution to combating stress. So I've called in some great experts to help you, our lovely ladies, learn how to manage your stress. In studio with me is fitness and wellness expert Lisa Raleigh, as well as medical practitioner and a familiar face on our show, Dr. Lerato Masimola. Welcome. And also joining us is a woman who helps thousands of women each and every day, the editor of Women's Health magazine, Kate Wilson. Welcome to Doctor's Orders.
Thanks.
So, Lerato, what are the symptoms of fatigue and stress?
Generally feeling unwell, tired, and if you don't listen to your body telling you, or your brain telling you to slow down, your body will tell you, you will feel pain. So you may have muscle aches, headaches commonly, and just generally feeling and feeling down, and you can end up feeling depressed, and it becomes a vicious cycle. You become more anxious about the way you feel. You can't do anything to change it. You become more anxious, and it just becomes that whole unhealthy cycle of being stressed and tired, and then you end up burnt out. You just crash.
Yes. What is the actual physiology of this, Kate? You were speaking to me.
I think stress and anxiety are very closely linked, and serotonin, which is your happy hormone, is depleted by anxiety. And the less serotonin you have, the more prone you are to depression. And I think a lot of people when they refer to burnout, they're actually referring to a depletion of serotonin, which leads to depression. And then that can be treated, for example, with an SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which can actually help. And I find a lot of people that I know, a lot of women that work in media, for example, and in this industry, are on a mild form of an SSRI to deal with anxiety and with stress.
What are the general causes of stress in women? I assume having to conform to this image of the perfect, beautiful women.
Superwoman syndrome, I call it. Everybody wants to wear the cape and run around from work, home, kids, hobbies, social life. It's too much. You can't do it all. Help is necessary.
I think women are also trying to find that perfect balance. And I think the minute you realise, and that's something I realised about a year and a half ago, it was this epiphany moment, there is no such thing. What happens is that when you place emphasis on one area in your life, something else is going to give.
Suffer.
Yeah, and as long as it's overall okay, you're keeping fit and healthy, you're eating okay, you're spending enough time with your family, and maybe you've got some massive job opportunity and you need to put all your emphasis on that, something else has to give. The minute we realise that, we can just let go of all the guilt, all the anxiety, and just go with the flow.
And things are harder on women. I'm just thinking generally, even when you relax on the weekends, men have it easy, women have to look amazing generally. Men you see wearing a tracksuit with,
I think women are hard on themselves and hard on each other as well. I think there's a perception among women is if you're not doing something every minute of every day, you're lazy. And I think men are far quicker to reward themselves for a hard day's work.
Scratch themselves. Men look forward to the weekend, beer, braai, whatever, and women have an itinerary for the weekend. It's kids' parties, it's this, it's weddings, it's this, and I'm running late for this. Or they feel guilty.
Yeah, the guilt thing is a massive issue. Just in my line of work over the years, I try and teach women to put themselves first, and they can't deal with that. Kids come first, everything else comes first. They should come last. It is an incredibly important responsibility for a woman to be the best version of herself, so that everybody else can benefit. If she is resentful, if she's overloaded, unhappy, tired, everybody else feels that, because women are the rock in every household, and they don't realize how important their roles are.
Now, for single moms, how do they approach dealing with the stress? In terms of, obviously, if they don't have a spouse to support them,
I think it's extremely hard, but I think within those communities there are certain support mechanisms. I think they probably have very close female relationships with people who are in a similar situation. We get a lot of letters from readers who see women's health as a kind of support to them, and they write into our experts, you know, people like Lisa and Lorata, who will give comments to them. I think women's health has filled a bit of a gap in that market because those women haven't had any support. They don't feel they deserve time to themselves. But here is a magazine which is focused on health and wellness, so they feel they're allowed, it almost gives them permission to invest in themselves and to have that time to themselves. So I do feel like we are filling a very important niche for those women.
And how do women, like working moms, deal with this guilt?
You need to be aware of your circumstances.
Yeah.
If you're a single mom, you have to accept that you can't do everything yourself. Delegate and accept help. I find that a lot of people actually have help around, but somebody will say, oh, I can't ask my friend for this or my mother, they'll think I'm a failure.
Yes.
And I had these children, and why must I burden other people? People are actually more open to helping. You just have to ask. So accept your circumstances and see how you can delegate. Accept help. That's the biggest thing. And let go of useless emotions like guilt and worrying about
and don't
things.
be afraid to fail. I think that fear of failure is critical.
Perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. There is no there's no manual. You know, it's you figure things out as you go. So failure is part of learning. You know?
I read a book. It's called Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, and she's the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Facebook.
Yes.
And I would suggest that every woman watching goes and buys themselves a copy of Lean In. It changed my perspective because I thought, how am I going to make this work? You know, I want to do all of this and I want to be a mom.
Yes.
I can never do it all, and you so can. And she has lots of testimonials in the book of not only herself, but women that have made a success of that.
How do you deal with stress, and what do you advise your readers?
I think it's not a coincidence that this whole wellness industry has sprung up recently. In America, I think this trend of wealthy, WELLTHY, was number 11 on the Trend Watchers list 2 years ago, and I think South Africa is just catching up to that now, where women are realizing that they have to pay attention to their health if they're going to be happier and live more balanced lives. So I think it's a combination of exercise, cardio is obviously really important, and then diet is actually really important. And also, I'm a big food nerd, so cooking I think is a big stress release. We've written about it this month, saying that actually women who cook more than 5 meals at home a week are less stressed and more positive in terms of their outlooks. I think that's really good advice. Just do some cooking at home.
Lisa,
And,
top
yeah.
tips for stress relief.
For me, it's a positive outlook on everything.
Okay.
Not sweating the small stuff is important, but then you also want to strive for excellence in everything that you do. So it's quite a tough one, that. But making sure that there's always two ways to see things. You can see it on the positive or the negative, and it's a daily choice. And sometimes you've got to groom yourself into thinking positive no matter what, and giving everything the benefit of the doubt. You have the choice every single day how you're going to live your life.
Yeah.
And having a positive outlook is something that you have to practice. And the best way is to get up a little bit earlier, if possible, and to write in a gratitude book and make sure that you know exactly what it is you want from your life. And through my experience with my clients, I generally find that people that love what they do are much happier than people that are going to work resenting their jobs. Because you'll be spending 9 hours a day, if not more. If you own your own business, it could double. And you need to make sure that you love what you do, because then that whole cliche, you don't work a day in your life kind of thing.
Yes.
But it is very important. Otherwise, you're constantly feeling the sense of resentment and unhappiness that you're never getting to your ideal life.
Thank you guys for that awesome and informative discussion. I'm seriously feeling a lot more relaxed now.